Everyone, this is Craig Durr, Chief Analyst and founder of the Collab Collective, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Decision Point, where this is workplace insights for IT leaders. And this is an exciting one. Why? Because we're going to be tackling a topic that everyone is talking about, which is AI, and how you can make AI something that's practical and useful for you as an IT administrator. So very specific to that, I have a very, very exciting show planned today. In fact, it's going to align with some product announcements and even a live demo we're talking about. And this all comes from the company NetSpeek. And to walk me through this, I want to introduce you to two of the leadership team from NetSpeek. First, we have Sam Kennedy. He is EVP of Go-To-Market. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be here, Craig.
Good to have you. And then Osman Bicakci, who is the EVP of Product Engineering. Osman, how are you doing?
Doing great, Greg. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Okay, so here's the premise of the show, just to make sure you guys know what's going on. My job here is to ask some of the questions that I think our IT leaders want to hear. And this is a new product for a lot of people. They may not have had an introduction to it as of yet, right? NetSpeek has been around for probably about 2.5 years in stealth mode, then came out in the last year. But let's go ahead and go through an introduction and start learning about what the company is about. Sam, why don't you do this? Give me an overview of NetSpeek, and then who is this character, Lena, that you keep talking about?
So, Craig, NetSpeek is focusing on transforming how organizations manage their AV and UC environments. Now, the way that most teams operate today is in a fundamentally reactive mode. So traditional monitoring tools, they generate alerts, but they don't actually fix the problems. They'll tell you something's wrong, but it's ultimately up to a human to figure out what the problem is and how to solve it. So with Lena, our AI platform, we shift to a reactive monitoring, AI-driven operations where issues can be detected, diagnosed, and ultimately resolved automatically. So Lena delivers an AI ops specifically for AV, UC, and digital signage. And she understands these environments deeply, not generically, because this is all she does.
I love it. You're personifying her, Lena. I know that acronym stands for something. What does it stand for?
Language Enabled Network Administrator.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying in that, almost in the promise of that name, is we're talking about something that's purpose built. We're not talking about a generic horizontal AI platform. It sounds like what you're telling me, this is purpose built for the AV pro, IT pro needs, especially around conference rooms, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what makes her so effective in these environments. A general AI tool doesn't understand how these systems work, how they fail, and ultimately how to fix them.
Okay. And so this is going to be replacing what? What's the status quo right now in market that we're talking about?
Well, the status quo is more generalized monitoring tools that can give you uptime or downtime and see if a device may be online or offline, where we're with Lena delivering a lot more capabilities. A lot of times we'll call it an AI orchestration platform because it's doing a lot more than just saying if my system's up or not.
That's one of the banes of existence when I talk to IT administrators is the alert-based monitoring. Now, fundamentally, it's the right idea, but if you're getting pinged back and forth with multiple alerts, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf. It's almost the idea that I don't know what's the right ones to focus on. It seems like a core problem there.
Yeah, and even then, if you understand that something's offline, well, then what do you do? And so your users have this downtime, and instead of being able to proactively start to help you fix these problems, your administrators are off, chasing how do I fix these problems down versus just implementing the solutions.
Okay, Osman, is he doing a good job here? I mean, he's giving me the marketing spiel, but your product and engineering, is he representing well what NetSpeek represents here?
I think he's touching the correct points. The one thing is I would underline that, yes, we are currently focusing on device orchestration, but as a platform, we are an AI company. And, when somebody asks me where I work, I work with an AI company. I think that's the real key vibe here to underline that AI sense in this conversation.
Well, that's a great segue to this next level question. I've been fortunate to have touch points with NetSpeek along the way, almost even before you guys came out publicly, which is great. But most people don't understand that journey that's taken place here over, essentially 2.5 years, right? Why don't you give us a walkthrough, and probably a great touch point to talk about where this, probably really came to life was at ISE, the Integrated Systems Europe conference, just this past year.
Yeah, so we've been working on Lena for about 2.5 years. We came out of stealth mode right before ISE in 2025. We launched our 1.0 of Lena in October. We actively have customers and partners that are using Lena today, and we started previewing at ISE 2026 some of the new capabilities that we're announcing today.
And I'm going to pause you there. I mean, that's key because from what you had as promise in 2025 to what we saw in 2026, just this past February, I mean, you delivered, almost like, 90% of what shipped of what you talked about with the original vision. The execution is pretty commendable.
Well, we're moving very fast, and I think part of the reason for that, as Osman just touched on, is we are an AI company first. We spent a lot of time. We spent a lot of time in that stealth mode of building a strong base, and we were fortunate enough to be able to leverage a lot of the AI capabilities that were starting to come available. And so this is why we're able, because we built a strong base, we're able to really take advantage of that now and move extremely fast.
All right. I'm going to push back and understand something here, because you have some fundamental capabilities that kind of foundational. I think you outlined a couple for me when we were in the green room talking about that. Please hit those again, because I think this helps to establish the fact that what you're promising, being an AI first company.
Well, there's a couple of key parts of the architecture, and one is a knowledge management platform, which trains Lena on documentation, release notes, admin guides, and we pull this all direct from the vendor partnerships that we're partnered with. So this is a primary source information which is constantly being updated so that we always have data that's relevant. And this is in contrast to more of a generalized AI tool that pulls data from internet searches and forums, and that's just so prone to hallucinations. And additionally, with these vendors, we work very closely with them and leverage their APIs so that Lena can observe and provide a deep level of control for their devices.
Okay. And so this all translates into deep knowledge, because what a common problem is, no one has the same vendor across all the environments within different rooms, even the same room. You can have multiple vendors within that same room environment, right? So you're talking about getting insights into those specific devices and kind of that knowledge base idea that you were talking about before?
Absolutely. And I think that you hit, it's a very important point that most customer environments, are pretty much all customer environments, are multi-vendor just inherently. And so what we're able to do is leverage all of that knowledge from multiple vendors and pull that all together to have a much deeper, richer set of understanding, which enables the ability to ask questions, answer questions, control devices, and pull it all together in a more cohesive system than a traditional monitoring tool could ever deliver on.
Osman, you guys call this your fleet partnership program, or your partnership programs, right? Who are some of the vendors that you have these relationships with to get that first level knowledge to pull into your data sources?
So when we are kind of accessing to and approaching to our partnership program and in ecosystem, we are both coming, our team is coming from the industry, right? So we have lots of manufacturers in the market shares and their technology aspect and their perspective and vision to the market. So we are approaching, and they're approaching us as well, all the mainstream manufacturers in this ecosystem to get partnership with us. So, these are including with the very well-known display manufacturers, but also on the video and collaboration side, you will see the list of all these partnership in our website. And this is a program that we are not limiting, right? So we are open to any manufacturer who are open to deliver the best experience for their end users, because what we bring to the table is getting the best out of the different manufacturers, players, devices in a space, whether it's a meeting room or open area, wherever they are sitting, collaborate together, like a conductor is orchestrating them and give the best out of concert for their users. Okay. So what we are enabling is getting the best value for their customers as well. So we are open for any manufacturer who are willing to work with us for adding their devices to our support. in our platform.
So I'm going to help try and translate this into layman's terms. So you're saying for, let's say, a HP device, formerly Poly, you would have insights specifically to how that device is configured because you've absorbed all the release notes, absorbed all of the installation documents, even have troubleshooting guides built out for this as well too. Is that kind of the takeaway?
That's definitely the takeaway. Let me bring a bit, a kind of boring AI fact here. Large language models generally are stateless, right? So what they do is when they are getting out of training from their model delivery manufacturers, which is, known names like, the Meta, OpenAI, etc., right? So they're getting trained on the general knowledge of the internet or, the human knowledge.
Yeah.
But because of our industry's vertical knowledge, the knowledge base in that, model itself, when it's first trained by the model provider, is not including the vendor-related, manufacturer-related information or AV-related information, etc. So what we are providing is the base level of data for these models when they're working on their devices. So they know how to solve problem, they know how to reach these devices, right?
Okay.
And the other part that we are enabling is the control part. The control is enabling the host you send the commands to these devices, like API commands in the traditional sense. So you know how to do action. So how to act on these devices with the information you grab from the data part. And this is what we do. So we control these devices.
Oh.
And the last part is the monitor part. So you use the same APIs or the information available from these devices as telemetry to monitor these devices. So whatever we do is we are getting this documentation source and we are using for multiple purposes. One of them is, getting the knowledge to our system.
Okay.
So Lena can ask for questions. But other part is also, doing actions on behalf of the admins when they're asked Lena to do something.
I got it. Okay, that's good. It's you're creating your own language model specific to this industry, to this device in some ways?
No, we are not creating models. We are using the models that provided and delivered by the Western provider open source models, and we are using these models. Our platform is model agnostic, so we are really not dependent on models. And in fact, one of our targets for end of this year is maybe, looking for the bring your own models kind of approach and letting the customer to use their own models, right? So we are not dependent on models. What we are delivering is the data the models need to operate in the environments like the device orchestration and providing that information in a structured way.
That helps. And now when we talk about structured way, we're still talking about a secure environment, enterprise grade. I'm not sharing data with the broader internet and ecosystem, am I?
Nothing. So, one of the things that we did on webinar, it was very cliche kind of thing, and I used all the time. Your data is your data. So we are not ever using the customer data for any training purposes or collecting that information for other purposes, etc. Right?
Okay.
But what we do is, we are using that information in your tenant only. So there's a tenant isolation. So what is kind of known in the LLM world, in the AI world, is the context management. You most probably heard, if you're interested with the AI or AI development, the word context. Context is bringing what we use as a, smart way of managing context, which is customer information, with the device information we have, with the data that Sam is mentioned coming from the manufacturer themselves.
Okay.
And we are putting all of them together in a kind of listing that, runtime memory and enabling the LLM to work on that space, only for that customer. Customer, A and the customer P data and the context are separate from each other.
Okay.
And they're only living in their own tenant environments.
All right. Okay. You're doing well. I'm giving you the questions. You're answering them well. I appreciate this. I told you I wasn't going to pull punches. All right. So the baseline right now with Lena, the 1.0 inversion, there's some core foundations. Sam, I kind of cut you off. You kind of go through this, but that's like the ability to ask questions. That's natural language device control. It's something else that I've got a note here you call room health check agent. Did I get that right?
Correct. And so what room check or health check is it Lena, what Lena's able to do there is detect configuration drift in a space and then automatically restore the space to the correct state without any human intervention. Think most organizations do this today with sneaker wear, where they have employees walk into the room, or an MSP, someone from an MSP who walks into the room to check to make sure that everything's functioning in that room, that the way that their users want it to be. What we've done is we've leveraged Lena to automate that process so that when their users walk into the room, it's always in a ready state.
Okay. All right. I like what you're saying. So this is the picture I think I heard you guys paint, talking about an enterprise grade, data specific, AI first model that's taking data and creating these insights for us. This is what kind of Osman was talking about. Sam, if I'm going to reflect back what you were saying, this is how this is working as an end user experience. I think if you talk about having some natural language controls, I can ask questions, I guess, just as is. And the fact that I could probably do some device control based upon some of the other insights that Osman was sharing as well too, right? All that rolls into these great feature sets like room health check, which is kind of a baseline idea and measuring against that. Is that kind of where Lena, is that a good encapsulation of Lena? I know I'm not selling it. I'm just trying to make sure I can repeat back to our audience.
That's correct. From a 1.0 perspective, that's where we started. And really what we did was with our 1.0 features is find real problems that many users are facing today, show what can be done with AI, with our base platform. And now we're starting to add much more advanced capabilities on top of it.
Got it. All right. Love it. All right. Cool. Well, you said now. And that is not why I have you guys here. You guys promised me some new cool stuff. And so today, you guys had a press release. I had a chance to preview it. So you are announcing some new features in Lena 1.1. Is that right?
That's correct.
Spill the beans. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, with 1.1, there's a number of features here. We have a refreshed user UI. We have some updated partnerships. We added role-based access control, quite a few other improvements. But the real headline of what we're announcing today is a new troubleshooting capability in Lena. This is one of the biggest innovations we think in the industry. It's definitely one of the biggest innovations within Lena that we are launching today.
Okay. Troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is what we're talking about. I mean, what does that mean?
So as we said earlier, historically, tools in this space have been focusing on monitoring. They surface alerts without actually resolving anything. The solving problem still relies on human beings to go and figure out what an actual problem is and
take an alert,
how to resolve
translate it into what it means for my specific environment, figure out how to act upon it, then go out and do the action on it, right?
Correct. Yeah. So the new troubleshooting capability within Lena, it identifies root causes, resolves issues automatically where possible, or it can guide a user through a human being through what needs to be done in order to solve a problem.
So okay. What actually is taking place in that framing? Like, is this, are we on the path to like being truly autonomous is what you're saying? Or is this kind of, what does this do?
So this is a step towards that. This is I think the first step towards that. I could say even we delivered with health check was really the true first step to that. But ultimately our goal with Lena is to provide that truly autonomous self-healing environments. And what we're delivering today with 1.1 and our new troubleshooting capability is the journey that we're on to ultimately getting there.
Okay. All right. I could ask more questions. I really think what I want to do is have you show a demo. Why don't we dive into this? Is that possible?
It's absolutely possible.
All right. Bring up your stuff.
Okay. So let me start to share some content here. So here we have the Lena user Lena user interface. And so from here, I can see all the different devices that I have within my environment. I can see previous chats. I can, as we were talking about earlier, we have that knowledge base where I can ask deep technical questions because we've trained Lena on all the knowledge, and you can just see some of the different vendors.
So those are all the vendors that we were talking about before. We're talking about
these are all the vendors we were talking about
devices.
Before, that you could ask those deep technical questions. Lena will answer the question, pull the documentation that she has on this. And like we were saying earlier, because we've trained Lena on this information, that it's not being pulled from potentially nefarious sources, right? It's not being pulled from a blog somewhere that someone didn't put in the correct information. So we're very accurate on the data that Lena is going to respond with.
Okay. All right.
Now, one of the first major features, like we talked about, is the ability to do a room check. But what I'm going to do first before we go there is I'm going to go into the management, and you can see my demo environment here, the number of devices. But what we have is a room, and this is the configuration and what we call the canvas for a specific room. Now, I just happen to have a live stream up. This is just a camera on YouTube, pointed at a traditional conference room. You can see a neat bar, Samsung monitor. There's the neat pad, bright sign player, and a barcode click share. So I'm going to tell the little story.
This is typical. This is like multiple vendor environment. I mean, this
Very
isn't
typical,
unusual at all.
right? This is what most users, most environments are.
Right.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to have one of our employees is going to go into the room here live and is going to screw the system up, right? They're going to go in. They want to be able to take advantage of the great AV that we have in this room. And they're going to go in and change the input on the monitor, lower the volume, mute the monitor. And so you can see Eric is now in the room. He's going to go and change it all up. And so, while Eric's doing that, you'll be able to see here, in a moment, you can see the races on the screen, that he muted the system. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Lena now. And so again, as I was saying, this is the configuration of that room inside of Lena. Now, it does require some configuration for the room, but we kind of think of this as more of a no-code type solution, right? There's some configuration that's needed, but there's no programming or anything more required than that. And I'd love to get into a lot more detail as to the different things that you can see, but I would suggest any customer that wants to get into that level of depth, follow up with me. But what we're going to do is I can have different target states for the room, just like some days we talk to a lot of higher education where what's on the click share is what's most important for some days, or other days I want to see my Zoom room is most important what's on the screen. On the weekends, what we do is we shut down the devices so that we can save on power. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to set this rooms up for a video conference. And I can go through the configuration here. It's really leveraging the APIs like Osman talked about earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now manually run a room check for the space that we just showed. Of course, you could schedule this. That's the way most of our current customers are having this set up, is they schedule their room checks. And again, this is what we were talking about earlier, where these devices tend to have drift, and we're actually seeing this real time in this particular room, right?
Did you time it with that car drifting when you said the word drift? Is that what you just said?
I know. But again, in this case, one of our users went in and they changed the configuration of the room. And now when users walk in for their Zoom meeting, they're now having a broken experience. So what Lena's done is she went and saw that there was some configuration drift happened in this room. So she automatically switched the input on the monitor. She took the system off of mute. She changed the volume on the system. And now when users walk into the room, it's actually going to dial that Zoom call. It drops the Zoom call. It's actually testing to make sure that that's good. And now users walk into the room, they're now ready for their meeting.
This is awesome. This is what you were calling that room health check
correct
functionality, right?
Correct.
Where you established baselines, which were the true state you wanted to have. I love that you had that pull down menu. You can see the different ones as well too. Correct. And when it got off of that core state, Lena was able to go back in automatically, because you were talking to me. You weren't doing anything here, right? It went back and it found the right input, changed everything it was supposed to be.
It did it all automatically. And this is that true orchestration level that we were talking about, right? Lena found problems, realized that there were problems, and was able to send the commands to the devices to get it into the ready state of where the users need it when they're going to go in for their meeting.
That's incredible. Now, but this is still Lena 1.0. This isn't even
Lena 1.0.
Yes. Well, let's dive into Troubleshooter. I can only imagine what this looks like.
Yeah, we're going to show a couple of scenarios now with Troubleshooter. So what we're going to do for this next demo is we're going to send Eric back into the room. And for this particular demo, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through an issue where a user is going to report a very vague statement with around a problem that they're having with their Barco, or a perceived problem that they're having with their Barco ClickShare. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Eric. He's going to so everyone can see the screen and kind of get into the scenario we're talking about. Eric went and turned the display off. So we all know that the issue is the display is turned off.
Okay.
But the scenario I'm going to talk through is a user walks into the conference room, takes their ClickShare dongle, plugs it into their personal device, goes to share content, and nothing happens. So they open up a ticket in a very generic way and says that the Barco ClickShare isn't working. So I'm now going to go back to Lena and show everyone how Lena solves for this particular scenario. Okay. So I'm going to just start up a new chat because she is contextually aware of the discussions that I was having earlier. So I'm going to start up a new one. In this case, I'm going to act as the IT administrator who now received that ticket. And I'm going to talk to Lena, leveraging natural language to troubleshoot this problem.
I'm on the guy. Hey, my Barco's not working.
That's that. And you're the guy. And now I'm going to troubleshoot that issue. The Barco ClickShare is not working. So again, I asked a very generic statement.
Well, and you did
now,
this through voice. Case, you didn't type this in even. You just
correct.
Did your voice.
I leveraged natural language to talk to Lena to troubleshoot the problem. Now, in this particular case, I didn't give her enough information on purpose. I wanted you to see if I don't give her enough information, she's going to come back and have a dialogue with me. So in this case, where she's asking me, well, what room are you talking about? We have 2 Barcos in this environment. So these are the 2. If there was hundreds, she would have clarified it in a slightly different way. But in this case, we only have the 2. So I'm going to say that this is in the demo room. So I'm going to confirm there. And now Lena's now doing, she's probing, and actually she found what the true problem is. And hopefully, Craig, you saw how fast that was. Yeah. So Lena actually came back and said, well, the Samsung display is powered off, so the ClickShare output has nowhere to show. With the display turned on, the ClickShare unit will be able to present. So she realized, even though the ticket came in with a Barco problem statement, Lena realized that it's actually not the Barco. She came back and said that it looks like it's the display. I can actually turn it on. She also gives some physical responses but she prioritizes anything that can be done where I don't have to send someone to the room. So she's going to say, okay, I'm going to ask her to turn the display on. And as you can imagine here, when we come back to the room, it'll just take a second. Cause again, there's a slight delay because of the stream on YouTube, but you'll see here in a moment, Lena, again, wrong problem statement, found what the correct problem was, and then enabled me as the administrator to solve the problem without having to send a human being into that room.
Wow. And you talk about like total cost of ownership wow, it just did it. That's fantastic.
And it just did it. Yep.
It was actually able to suggest to you what it wanted to do on its own. So you're still sitting there in your desk. There's no sneaker net involved. You're not rolling out anyone here. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. And it's small challenges like this that add up through a day for, the organizations that we talk to that have tens and hundreds and potentially thousands of conference rooms. Like that sneakerware adds up when you multiply it times all of these rooms. So here what we were able to do is find the correct, even with a vague problem statement. A lot of the organizations that I talk to, when they share some of their help desk tickets with us, and as we look through, you can see there's very often the users don't give a lot of details. So here, even with just a little bit of information, Lena was able to find the problem and assist in solving the problem without ever having to send a user.
Got it.
Now I have one more demo to show you where I'll go for it. Yeah.
I'm going to pause one moment. Hey, Eric, pause one moment. Can you hear me? That's fine. We'll keep running. Go ahead and go.
So in this,
that's okay. No, that's okay. Go.
So the next problem, what we want to show is what you saw there is Eric physically went and unplugged the Barco ClickShare. So now we all know that the problem actually is a issue with the Barco because, again, we removed the power. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Lena and I'm going to start up a new chat here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the same problem statement that I did where she was able to solve the problem, which again, in this case, she doesn't have arms and legs, so she can't go into this room to solve. But I want you to see how she walks a human being through what the problem is and how to resolve it. So again, I'm going to leverage natural language in the same way. the Barco click share is not working. So again, I ask the same problem statement. Now she is going to come back to me and say, okay, what room are we talking about here? And again, I'm going to go back to the demo room.
Okay.
I'll click confirm there. Now it's going to take her a little longer on this one to solve the problem because she's not going to get a lot of information back because again, the device is turned off. So in a moment, you're going to see she's going to come back and say, it looks like I found a problem and here's the thing. It looks like it's a physical problem. And here are the things that I want to walk through that you need to go do in order to solve. So it's not just saying the system is turned off. It's actually giving you a path to resolution for the people that are supporting these spaces. So you can see she came back with that the Barco ClickShare unit is not reachable, so it can't send video to the display. And now she gives me the solution, the resolution, the path to resolution for these devices, for this device is. So she's saying it's likely due to a power or network issue. So choose a step that verifies. So we're gonna now send our engineer, Eric, back to the room to go plug it in. Sorry, Eric, for having to do that. But we're going to check the power. And again, we're going to say that we found a problem and that the power was out. We'll click confirm because we want that to go into our ticketing system.
Yeah.
And again, we'll see here that Eric's now plugging it in, and then we're now back to, in a moment here, we'll be back. And so, what we wanted to show everyone with our 1.0 or 1.1 troubleshooting capability here is that Lena can in certain cases that she has the ability, can find problems, fix problems without ever having to send a human being, or when there is a physical problem, she's able to guide a user through the path to getting to that resolution. So we think that this is a very significant release for the industry.
Oh, it's a lot. It's fewer manual interventions. It tells you when you have to send someone versus when they can try to do it themselves. And I would think this translates very specifically to, more uptime and lower operational cost.
And that's really the goal of what we're delivering with Lena is just, again, deliver a higher level of experience, enable people to deploy more technology in more spaces, but be able to do it at a lower operational cost.
Fantastic. And you guys are just announcing that now. When is this going to be available in market?
So that's what we're announcing, is that it is now available in market.
Fantastic. That's great. I love this. This is good. And this is a lot. I mean, this is a lot of value for those IT teams, especially those ones that are thin, that are strained thin, that have you manage multiple campuses, right? And these are physical rooms. It's not like a person can bring in their laptop to that IT desk in that room. This is where you have specialized equipment with specialized needs and trying to get holistic insights across what could be a very large campus.
Craig, I talk to customers that have offices all over the world where they may not even have IT staff in those locations. And so enabling them to have better uptime for their users where they may not even have people is just a tremendous value for the whole industry. Everyone involved, we think, benefits by delivering a solution, and what we're doing with Lena.
Okay, fantastic. I love it. Oh, this is good. I'm excited about this. Let's transition here. So, Osman, I want to bring you back into this conversation. Sure. We talked a lot about this architecture. Walk me through what we're talking about here. I mean, this is a lot of power. How are you able to deliver this?
So, as we kind of teased earlier a bit how our infrastructure and architecture is built around LLM, large language models. And as I mentioned that we are building a platform, right? So we are not focusing to build a device management platform both with AI. So when we kind of work on this architecture, LLM, large language models, and AI tools requires data. And that's the foundational level for us, where we position Iris, intelligent resource integration system, which is going through the documentation that we provide thanks to our partners and also the public documentation to bring the data and the context to our devices or platform when they are operating, right? And then we have digesting this information and processing this information with the metadata, with the required information to ensure that the every document is not a document itself, but they are connected in a graph, in a relationship manner. So you know exactly that which that document page is belongs to which manufacturer and which that manufacturer device supports which environments. So the Lena, when she acts on the certain problems like these troubleshooting scenarios, she can go through this documentation, but she can also see the context, the metadata that we generated along with the documentation. That's really key part and difference that when you put this, for instance, same document to ChatGPT or, other common use LLMs and ask about a question about that document versus our platform has all this documentation in place and we have the relationship between these documentation in our data store as well.
This architecture is built from the scratch, which is what I appreciate. This isn't off the shelf. This isn't bolted on, but it allows you probably to have some really powerful native integrations, the way that you get data in from the environment. So you've got the knowledge base. How are you interacting with third-party integrations or other cloud environments, things like that?
So one of the key things, as I mentioned earlier, right? So the data part is the one part that your platform is connected. Other part is, data stuff is not necessary. Right? You can ask questions and suggesting to do something is something, but acting on that information itself by Lena is another thing. And for that act part, you need to control devices. You need to monitor devices. And this is where we use the integrations with the APIs. Generally, they are available from many of the manufacturers publicly. And there are some manufacturers are, you can have agreements and you can have private communication with them and use the APIs. We use those APIs to talk with the devices to understand what is the state they are in. Are they healthy? Are they network connected? Are they, have any issues with the other problems with the devices? So what we do is, and especially in troubleshooting, is very key. When we kind of attack a problem about a device in a room itself is not a single device. There are multiple other devices in the same environment, in the same room, and there are maybe hundreds of devices in the same floor with that device. What we are looking into that problem is not a device level, but in the, the room level, floor level, how we can address and attack this. This is why you see in STEM demo, it's not only check for this specific device, the barcode share that she reports as a problem. Lena checks for the other devices in the same room because she have the context from NetSpeek canvas, how devices are connected. And she now tests for other devices that devices connected to ensure that, okay, is there any power problem is going on? Is there a network problem is going on in the room? So kind of look the more holistic way than a single shot. Okay, let me reach this device and send this command approach. So what we are doing is different than the rule-based troubleshooting, where you can define, okay, this is if this happens, do that. If this happens, do that. What we are doing is kind of more complex, and the power of large language models with our data layers and our management layer is multiplies that possibilities that solve the troubleshooting problems.
Okay, I got it. Well, this is really interesting. I'll have our producer do a view of what you just described, so our viewers can follow along. Well, this is exciting. You guys, I appreciate you sharing with us this new development within the Lena offering. 1.1 seems to offer a lot of value, and you continue to be on this path of providing AI first AV management construct. I love the term that you use, AI orchestration, because there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think you're removing the friction through your purpose-built, enterprise secure, enterprise grade AI tools that you've put together here. I know I'm telling you what you know, but I think I'm hitting it on the nail on the head here. What do you say?
Absolutely.
All right. So, all right, here we are. I appreciate you guys giving me this update. Anything else you want to share along the lines? I mean, you guys have had a pretty aggressive roadmap. Infocom is not far.
I would encourage everybody that's going to be attending Infocom to make sure to come by and see us, because
you don't want to tell me something right now. It's part of your final grade.
Yeah.
I can maybe tease a bit. Just one thing is, as the Sam showed, this is 1.1 of our platform, right? So we are not calling 2.0. We are not calling 3.0. This is 1.1. So imagine what's going to come up with the 2.0 version of our platform, which is we plan to, show at Infocom. So what we are kind of currently is delivering is the human-initiated troubleshooter, right? So you have he will really kind of ask question to Lena to address that troubleshooting problem.
Okay.
What we are targeting to be make that more proactive self-healing version.
Ooh.
So triggered by the room checks, triggered by the other actions, triggered by the, the signals. This is where we are going. And this is hopefully what we're going to show at InfoCon.
I love it. This is part of the
finger cross.
Eric shared with me when we spoke back at ISC just earlier.
That's correct.
I have to commend you guys. I love the fact that you're delivering what you have talked about, and you're doing it in a timely fashion that it brings value to those customers who are participating in the platform. All right. So if our viewers want to hear more, learn more, what's our next steps, Sam? What should they be doing?
So for anyone, any IT or AV, anybody managing the collaboration environments, I would encourage you to go to netspeek.ai. You could schedule one-on-one demos with us. I would encourage you to add Lena on your LinkedIn or go to follow NetSpeek on your LinkedIn. We do have the ability to set up proof of concepts and pilots. We, as I said, we already have customers who are using this today. Any of the partners, the channels, integrators, MSPs, definitely reach out to us as we have a path there as well. So definitely get involved with us, because you can see we're not slowing down. There's a lot more to come. We think we're going to really help shape where the industry is going. And so definitely reach out to us either through our website or through LinkedIn.
I love it.
Or InfoCom.
And for the technology vendors, the people that you are having these deep relationships,
our doors are always open. Our doors are always open for adding more devices to enable more value to our customers and our shared customers.
Okay. All right. I appreciate this. So here's the closing thoughts. I think that, we were living in a world where monitoring just told us what was wrong. You just showed examples of your solution, Lena, fixing it and doing it on behalf of that IT administrator, reducing costs, increasing uptime, and creating a lot of operational efficiency. I love it. This is moving well beyond alert only monitoring. I think there's a lot of value here. All right. Well, Sam, Osman, I want to thank you for your time. This has been really insightful. I think another good edition of Decision Point. I'm going to give you guys a good grade here. I'm going to give you somewhere on that A+ range, but you had a good demo, and actually bravely showed a live demo, but it's a working product. So I appreciate you doing that, right? Good.
My pleasure.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, everyone, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Again, my name is Craig Durr. I'm the Chief Analyst here at the Collab Collective, and I want to thank you for spending time with us at Decision Point. We're here to ask some of those tough questions on your behalf so you can get the insights you need to make those IT decisions. Until our next episode, take care.